Hello, guys. It's nice to have you join us on today's episode. And in today's episode, I'll be taking you on lists. I remain your host, Daniel Michael. Remember to subscribe to this channel to receive updates, notifications on the coming episodes. Moving on to today's topic, lists. HTML provides various ways or three ways to list items in your site, in your website. To do this, we can achieve it using the ordered list or an unordered list and even the description list. Ordered list uses an ordinal sequence to indicate the order of elements or the order of list elements. The unordered list also do the same but using a defined symbol such as a bullet point. In order for us to achieve that, to create an unordered list, we do that using the OL tag. It has an opening and a closing, of which we can then specify our list items in between the opening and the closing of the OL tag. Before we proceed, I'll be specifying at the top here with a H4, a heading element to specify ordered list. So we'll be creating our first list using the ordered list. I'm always making this mistake of ordered and unordered list is confusing, or the words, pronouncing the words simultaneously is being difficult for me. So I'll be saying unordered list and ordered list. That should be more preferable. So right now we want to create ordered list. To create an ordered list, we use the OL tag. In between the opening and the closing of the OL tag, we then specify our list items using the LI tag. We can have numerous lists in between the OL tag. We can also have nested lists. I'll be showing you how to create nested lists and unordered lists. So before we proceed, I want to show you how the ordered list is actually being presented to your viewers. I'll be creating extra lists, and in between them, you have to specify the list or what the item you want to list on your site. So to do that, I'll be specifying, I'll just be writing a text here, say this is a list item. Now, to view this on our browser, I'll still be using the live server to open this on our browser. Now we are here on our browser. You can see we now have our list items. Like I told you initially, the ordered list uses a sequential, an ordinal sequential system to list items. Now it uses the numbers to list items. We can as well change these numbers to either uppercase alphabets or lowercase alphabets. We can as well specify how we want the items to be listed. For instance, we say we are currently having 1 to 4. We can as well tell this ordered list to start from 4. Then we then have 4 to 8. So to achieve that, we have to specify an attribute called start. This attribute start is being specified in the opening tag of the ordered list as start. It has a value which you can then specify on our own. Let's say start from 4. Now if you go back to our site and refresh, we then have 4, 5, 6, and 7. We no longer have 1, 2, 3, 4 because we now instructed the ordered list to start from 4. We can also specify a type attribute. This type attribute now takes numbers, although by default the ordered list uses numbers. So we now want to change it from numbers to either uppercase alphabet or lowercase alphabet. We can as well use uppercase Roman figures or lowercase Roman figures. To achieve that, we can then specify A as the value of the type attributes, which is uppercase alphabet. So if we go to our browser and now we see D, E, F, G. The reason why we are seeing this is because we still have our start attributes there that says start from 4. So the fourth letter of the alphabet is D. That is why it started from D and then continues. It increments it by 1 in a sequential order. Same thing also applies to when you are using the number attributes. The number value in the type attributes. If we should use number by specifying 1 as its value of the type attributes, and yes, of the type attributes. Going back to our browser, we then have it as 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we can also use Roman figures. To do so, we can either specify an uppercase Roman figure or lowercase Roman figure. To achieve that, we then use the capital I or the lowercase I. So if we go to our browser right now and refresh, we have lowercase Roman figures starting from 4 simply because we have our start attributes stated to start from 4. We can as well use the uppercase and we still have the same list items. Now, if we should remove the start attributes from it, we then have our Roman figures starting from 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Now, we can as well manually change the number. We can manually change the number of the list item. To do so, we have to use the value attribute on a particular list. Let me change this back to the default, which is numbers. We then have numbers here. Now, once this list 2 to start from 3. Now we have to specify the value of this attribute. We have to give these attributes. A value of 3. The list item takes a value attribute which has its own value as 3. I mean, any number at all which you intend to use. So in this case, I want to specify 3. Now, specifying 3 there simply means that this ordered list is going to start from 1, but the second list will then be numbered as 3. Then it increments that 3 continuously until it is being altered by another list with a value attribute. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Let's go to our browser so you see what I'm trying to explain. Now, we have our ordered list starting from 1, but now we don't have 2. And if you look closely, you see that the 3 was incremented. So the order is still followed until we then have another list that would then say, let's say 11. We then want to create another list and say value 11. So if we should have other ones under, we then have 1, 3, 4, 5, 11, 12, and so on. So going back to our browser, you see it there. We don't have 6, we don't have 7, we don't have 8, and the rest. Then we jumped to 11. So you can actually jump in between the ordered list and the on. Yes, you can jump between not the list numbers. That is the numbers you use in listing your items. Same thing applies when you then use the type attribute. In specifying maybe the uppercase, you want to use the uppercase. The same thing applies. After we refresh our site currently, you see A, C, we don't have B. We have D, E, no F, no G. We don't have K, L, M, N, O, P. So that is it for the ordered list. The next item we'll be going for is the unordered list. unordered lists. Ordered list, unordered list, ed. Is that spelling? Ordered list. Why is this being difficult for me to spell? Anyways, I have a plugin or an extension called that autocorrects my mistakes on ordered. I don't have anything like that, so I'm just going to copy this and then spell on ordered lists. On ordered list, yes, that is it. So to create an unordered list, we then use the UL tag. It has an opening and a closing UL being written in that manner. Now we can also use the LI to list the items that we want to list within the or with the ordered list. So to do that, I can then use these same values, the same list, and then paste it here. Going back to our browser, we then have our unordered list. Like I told you, it uses a bullet point by default. You can't change this bullet point the same way you change that of the ordered list. So unordered list is always bullet point. You can as well use images like a green tick or an asterisk to list your items, but that can only be achieved using the cascading style sheet, which is CSS. The unordered list cannot be modified further than this. The next item I'll be telling you about, or the next list I'll be showing you right now, is the nested list. The nested list. The nested list, we can next items inside a list. Let me show you how that goes. Using either the unordered list or the ordered list, we can next items. To achieve that, I will be using the same list, but in an unordered list. In an unordered list, then in between the opening and closing of one of the lists, where we then have this text, this is a list, I will then be creating a nested list. So the nested list will then can also have either an OL or a UL, whichever one you want to use, it can. Now, in between this opening and closing of this OL, we can then specify other list items. We can specify other list items. Now, if you go to our browser and reload, you then see your nested list. We now have our first list, second list. Now, the third list is having an ordered list inside of it. Yes, it's possible. Same thing also applies to the ordered list. We can as well have an ordered list listed inside an ordered list. The choice is yours. And that is it for nested list. You can as well next items inside a nested list. Let me show you that. Now in the third list, I'm going to remove the value and then create an ordered list. Yes, create an ordered list. If you go to our browser and then refresh, you see we then have nested items under a nested item. So this might be confusing. Let me explain something to you. We have parent and child elements in HTML. Parent elements are elements that are housing other elements. For instance, the HTML tag you see here is the parent element to both the body and the head element. Whatever is in between the head elements, the head opening and the closing, are children to the head opening, the head element. Whatever you see in between the opening and the closing of the HTML element is also known as the children of the HTML element. Whatever you see in between the body is the children of the body element. Same thing applies to other elements that has nested elements inside of it. Nested element is different from nested list. Note that nested elements are different from nested list. So in nested list, we have list inside a list, just like the way we have onion. So moving on, I want to show you our third list for today, and that's going to be the end of this list episode. The third list for today is called the description list. The description list is totally different from the ordered list and unordered list. Description list. In description list, we use the DL and the DT tags. The DL tag being the description list and the DT tag being the description item, just as we have the LI. So this is going to be DT. Now, we can have multiple lists, multiple description lists or description item or descriptive items inside the description list, just as we can also have in the OL and the UL tags. So we can also do the same here. This is a description list. If you go to our browser and refresh, you see that we then have our description list. But in this case, we don't have it either in bullet points, numbers, or Roman figures. In description list, we only have it in a plain list like this. It has no number, it has no bullet points or Roman figures. That is it for the description list. And it cannot be modified further. It doesn't use the value or stats because it doesn't have number. That will be all for this tutorial. I hope you have been able to achieve something in today's episode. If you have a question, kindly leave it in the comment section and I will be happy and glad to respond to that. On our next episode, we'll be talking about tables. Now HTML is getting more interesting. So ensure to subscribe and turn on the notification icon so as to receive updates whenever I post new episodes. Do stay safe till we meet again on our next episode. Bye for now.